Hello, hello, everybody. I am Patty with StudioR12 Stencils.
I'm Carrie.
With StudioR12 Stencils.
With StudioR12 Stencils.
Yeah, and we are here every week live. This week is live, not live, for the third week in a row. We are very sorry. We've had technicians out 3 or 4 times, and they have discovered it's something in our area. They are working on figuring out what it is. So until then, we don't have a choice but to do this way. So we still want to bring you stuff. Please put your questions when the video gets launched. Put your questions down below, just like we were live, and we will do our best to answer all your questions. Yeah, I love it. Okay, you got announcements, I'm sure.
Yes and no.
Okay.
We're hopefully here on Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern is when we are typically live. We also upload videos on our YouTube channel on Saturdays. We have lots and lots and lots and lots of content for you to search through, whether you are a beginner or whether you are looking for a specific technique. This coming weekend, we have the beginning of a 2-part video, which will be released over a couple of different weeks, and it is a request that we had to do some more of these videos. So if you guys have any requests or things that you want to learn or want to know about, please let us know. Speaking of learning and questions and all that, this past weekend we hosted 18 of our bestest stencil fans.
Yep.
Here in Gallipolis, Ohio. It was Patty's 60th birthday, so we had a big party and we painted.
60 looks good on me.
It does. You don't look a day over 60 in 2 days.
Lay size.
So we had a lot of fun, and there was a lot of learning and a lot of projects that were painted.
And I have to say that we had the best explosion of color combinations that I have ever, best color combinations. Like, my jaw dropped almost at every single place as people were finishing things up. It was glorious. So we will be sharing some of those color combinations in the future. So our wonderful stencil fans have done a little bit of dirty work for me. I kind of feel inspired.
Thank you.
I'm like excited.
Speaking of wonderful stencil fans, we got a lot of gifts from our stencil fans over the weekend, including some earrings.
Palette earrings.
And
palette
with flowers. Our friend Tanya brought us these, and my bonus daughter loved mine so much that Tanya took the ones off of her ears and gave them to her, and she is very excited to wear them to art this week.
I love it. I love that.
And that's not the only gift we got. We got some etched wine tumblers from our friend Christine, all the way from New Jersey.
Hello, Christine.
And so we made sure to use these all weekend.
Yes, absolutely. And the wine tastes really great in that.
And it does. And we, Patty got some birthday cards and gift cards.
I got one of the prettiest birthday cards I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Or, just card in general. Christine gave that to me as well. It was just really beautiful.
And our friend Amy came all the way from Wisconsin and treated us to cheese and fudge, and we were really spoiled this weekend.
Really, really, really spoiled. We had so much fun. Cannot stress how much fun that was. Today we have a big lesson for you. You're going to learn a lot. It's going to blow your hippie noodle. It's going to expose your hippie noodle to a bunch of different projects, or not projects, but techniques, all using one technique.
I'm good.
Last week's project?
We do.
So when the girls came in and they were like, oh my goodness, on Saturday morning, they were like, that video, this was last week's video. I show you how to build the box. I show you how to use tea towel stripes, how to make it look distressed. It's a simple little lesson, but this is such an amazing little trend, the tea towel stripes through and under words and all of that kind of stuff. So check this video out if you want to see how to do those things. All right. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay. So today we are going to talk about texture paste. So I've got Liquitex Basics Acrylic, and it is an Amazon link, I believe, an affiliate link. So that is what we're going to be using today. And we are going to do 10 ways to use texture paste. And I'm going to show you a bunch of different things, and it's worthy. Okay, so we're going to spit out some fresh texture paste. And I will use my muscles of doom. Might as well spit out quite a bit because I'll be using it the whole conversation. Okay, so the very first thing that we're going to do, I have a list here. We're going to do backgrounds, and I want to show you an example, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. So this is an example of what you could do with texture paste. You can mix it with color, which I'm going to show you how to do. Excuse me. And then you can do this just light drag technique and make it look really distressed and old. Okay, and then this is an example of another background technique. This is steel plate. We have a stencil for this, so Father's Day is coming. You can implement steel plate in borders, bands, backgrounds. We did without doing texture, we did bench a stool. So you can do all kinds of things with this to make Dad a very cool gift. In this video, I show you how to mix the rust. It's actually make homemade rust and apply it, so that's fun. And this one, we are doing the dirty cowboy technique, which is where you take fireplace soot or the wood ash and you wipe it over to antique and distress the thing. It's very cool. It's very, very cool. Okay, 2 ways to apply this. I'm going to turn this sideways because I'm going to go across here. Bless you. And we're either going to use a hotel card. Hey, wait, that's a Whipper Grill. Oh, it's Town Place. How cool to advertise in the back of the thing. I've never seen, I didn't look at it, but that's cool. That's a smart idea. Okay, so what you can do is you can pick up just a little bit of your paste, and I'm going to kind of smear it flat just a little, and then you can skip and just barely drag. I'm not pushing on that at all. The ladies this weekend, when we were doing the technique that we did during the workshop, they learned that when I say no pressure and gentle, I actually mean it. Mm-hmm. So it's like almost like touching, you know, a really soft puppy or a baby's cheek or something like that if they're sleeping, like literally that soft. So I'm just not putting any pressure on that at all. Okay, so then that will dry like that and you'll leave it alone. Get that card cleaned up. And then you could also use a palette knife. Did I just use the palette? No, I used the card, right?
Thank you.
That's dirty. I'm like, wait.
I don't remember.
Guys, what did I use?
They can't answer.
Okay.
Oh, wait, the guys can answer. I thought you meant the guys watching. I was like, wait, we're not live.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I talked about the card, but then this was dirty on the other side. I was like, wait. Okay, so same exact technique with the palette knife. I like having an offset handle, and I like being able to get my hand back a little bit. And so you can do the same exact thing. And then if you don't like that texture, like that looks like a little bit like a mountain scene or something. I can go back through it and I can mess it up. So don't feel like one pass and done. If I hate it, okay, if I don't like it at all, I can go right back through it, scrape it off, wipe it off with a paper towel, and then I'm back to a surface. I might have to repaint if I base coated, but you can remove it. While it's wet, it's water soluble, okay? And at the very end, I'm gonna talk to you about how to clean things up. But while it's wet, water soluble, that means you can take a wet paper towel, you can wipe that stuff off, but scrape it off first, because if you don't scrape first, you'll have too much goop and it'll make a big gloppy mess. Goop and glop. Okay, next we are going to do through a portion of a design. Okay, so I'm gonna ditch that guy over there, and you use that one for the whole design. Let's see, this guy, this guy. Okay, I got a lot of examples. Okay, so this is a stencil, and I've got to show you how to put it through a stencil in just a minute. But so this, Carrie did this as one of the first projects you filmed, I think, right, for us? And it's such a cute project. But she did a drop shadow. So you move your stencil over and down. We've got videos on that, so you check out the videos. Drop shadowing through a stencil is so easy. It's like Zen easy. You have to do a couple of layers of paint to do it, but it's perfect every time. So, and I think drop shadow using with the texture paste, we've got another example here I'll show you, is brilliant. So anyway, the letters are all textured and the drop shadow is not. So That is how you can make a textured effect. If you paint to sell, if you paint to impress, having a little bit of something raised raises the bar. Absolutely. Like if you did, your two deer and you did your Merry Christmas, and you can also layer and increase the layers to make them super thick, almost like an embellishment. So keep that in mind. It just adds dimension, adds just zhuzh. Okay, so next we are going to be mixing some paint in. So I'm going to bring this board back, and I'm going to get a skinny palette knife. They were all just right here pointing up. There they are, hiding behind sticks. So I can take that one's the hard pile. Take my fresh pile, and I can go in and lift up some of my black paint, and then I can tint that to be black. So it doesn't have to stay white. Now it will make this a little bit like gray, so you might have to mix a little bit of extra in it to make it more black, but you can totally mix paint in with your medium. You can mix, I've done this, sand, I've mixed sawdust, I've mixed all kinds of things in with paint and with the texture paste. So don't be afraid to mix things in with your mediums. It's so much fun. Okay, next we are going to apply texture paste through a stencil. So I have a stencil, and I'm going to show you that. This is through a whole stencil. Okay, so this also has a drop shadow. Carrie does the best drop shadow videos. And so this has got the drop shadow below, and then the entire thing is just with the white texture paste, and it looks sharp, sharp, sharp. It is an amazing project. And so think of what you can do to make just that relief. It just pops up. So it's the same as stenciling, maybe even easier because it's so thick.
There's not a video on that. That was a sample that we painted for a new line of stencils that we released. Okay, cool. So, but it's the same technique that I'm going to show you right now, except for the drop shadow. You'll have to go check out the playlist with the drop shadows. So what you can do, and I've got just a banding stencil. We have the best selection of banding stencils. They are amazing. So you can get them in different sizes, and they are, they're just incredible. The patterns, like we have them in all kinds of designs. So I would tape, because you're going to be pushing paint through. So this is going to be heavier pressure. So you're going to get a wide applicator, and then you'll pick up your medium. And so that's what that looks like. So I've got nice thick on there. And then I'm going to just frost. I'm pushing it in. And then I can go back through and scrape off the excess. Now, I'll show you a magic trick. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to do one more swath. I don't get to use the word swath very often these days. I don't know that that's one I've ever used.
Okay, so I have another swath. And then we can go back. Hippie noodle time, right? I can make it thick. I can go totally thick. And just lay that right on top. I might jump ahead and show you cleaning after this, because if this dries while I'm talking, then I may never recover the stencil. So then what you do when you're peeling off something thick like that is you have to lift straight up. So get the tape off. With the thin through the texture paste, you can peel it off. But with this, you want to lift straight up and down. So I'm going to get both sides, and then I'm just going to pull up. And so what that does, I don't know if Steve will be able to get this. Let me get rid of this. Okay. That has just a really high texture going on. It will take a while to dry, but so this is a low texture. This is a high texture. So you can actually make things pretty darn thick and embellish things. You know, sometimes the texture is great. Like you really want to have that texture. So that's how you get the texture. I'm going to show you one of the steps about cleaning off your stencil. If you have a lot of medium, so texture paste is, I don't know if it turns into plastic when we're done with it or not, but it will harden in your pipes, so you want to peel off or get rid of as much of it as you can. If you have a very delicate stencil, then what you can do, I needed a basin, but I didn't have a basin, so you could put your stencil in a basin of water and let it soak there and get like all of that loosened off and diluted. Okay, so I don't have a basin of water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here. This is not a delicate stencil, and I'm going to peel all of that off because I don't want that going down my drain. When you do this, you are going to probably get some medium on the back of your stencil. So when you do this, you want to make sure that you are washing the back side of your stencil and the front side of your stencil at the same time. And now I could scrape this or wash this. And so what I can do with this lid is I can, because I'm not ready to go wash it because I'd have to leave, I can give it a squirt of water. Do the same with this and kind of keep it fresh. My squirter isn't squirt. There we go. There we go. You keep that wet and it won't dry, and that means you'll be able to wash it off. But I would put it in a basin of water. So be prepared with a basin of water. Okay, we are on to the next. So I jumped ahead to number 11, which was cleanup, and that's kind of, I'll show you more about cleanup at the end. Okay, saran wrap to make a cool technique. Don't have saran wrap. Okay, so no problem. I'm going to use a baggie. So plastic. Walmart bags would be great too. So I'm just going to go ahead and layer on some, those of you who are mixed media specialists, I want to hear from you. I want to hear like what of these you've done. I want to hear what's your favorite way to do it. I want to see pictures. I want that because I love playing with mediums. All right, so you lay your baggie on there and you can just kind of squinch and swimble. Swimble is a new word. Okay, and then you can pull it off and you're just going to have this really crazy pattern, and it is, you can play with it, get it exactly how you want it, let it dry. And then what you can do is you can drop things into it. Get it the color that you like, and you can then embed pennies, eggshells. I watched the neatest video about eggshells. You could make a whole project just with buttons. Gosh, in a sewing room, wouldn't that be fun to have some sort of collage with buttons and fabric embedded? You could do fabric, you could do burlap, so many things that you could do, threads. So you could have like a lot of fun with this. So that is another thing. This will dry very hard. Your stuff will not fall off. So that was a bonus tip. And I'm going to wipe always be wiping your palette knife so that it doesn't harden. If it gets hard, then things don't smear right, and it's just not right. All right, Carrie, I'd ask you if anybody had questions, but we're not currently live.
We have had questions. We've had questions just asking if we're live.
We literally we couldn't upload a picture, so it was bad.
This video is probably going to take me like 7 hours to upload.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, so now we already talked about the palette knife and the hotel key. So that's number 6. And then snow. All right, so we have no snow on you. But we do have texture on you.
Good texture on, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this guy, this whole top was done with texture. So you could totally just smear and like frost a top or a piece of what you're doing and do that. And then this guy right here has, thank you, has some drizzly snow. And what you would do with this, I've got, let's see, get some water. Thin your texture paste just a little bit. And I need it to be a little runny. Not like liquid. Get out of that water. And you could do it with the brush. You could do it with, I feel like I'm the green eggs and ham. Okay, so I'm just going to show you on one of these. I have a little bit of a stuck thing. Okay, So I can totally go down here and just give myself a cute little dripping snow kind of thing like I did up here. And then you can totally make snow and then add some glitter on top of it, which is what I think might be the next. Yep, the next one is using glitter. So you could sprinkle that with glitter and then it would adhere into, just like the buttons did, it would adhere to the texture paste and it would be perfect snow. Little bonus one. Was this through a stencil, Carrie? Okay. So Carrie did this project recently and she made a whole raised band through a banding stencil and used texture paste and did what I'm going to show you in just a minute. Totally cool. So we're going to glitter next. So this one was one of our projects, one of our videos, and this is done with texture paste through our chandelier. This is one of our very early stencils, and it's still so good. But we did the texture paste, sprinkled the glitter on top of it. You bang it off to get rid of the excess glitter and let it dry, and it's magic. So this is a great technique for adding a little bit of pizzazz and attitude. The books that Carrie did are super cool because that's doing it as your background.
I think you did those.
Did I do?
Mm-hmm. Mine were the Valentine's Day ones.
All right. The books that I did are really cool. Glad I bragged about you first.
Thank you.
Anyway, but this was just frosted on there and then stenciled on top. So you can always stencil on top of texture. You just need to be a little bit careful of how much paint you have on your brush. Okay, so that's a really good example. These are just from Dollar Tree. So they are $1.25 each. You can make yourself a little saying stack. And we have tons of little designs for this. So we have all of these designs are ours and we have them in sizes. So you can make all kinds of choices. Okay, and now we are dry brushing over the texture. So I have an example and I'm going to show you an example. Okay, so this is a mandala stencil that I did and went and washed. It has some like little bit of sharp bits. So when you're washing your stencil, I'm going to flip this over. If you put it on something flat, a plastic cutting board, a cookie sheet, something that you have in your kitchen that's completely flat, angle it, have your water running down on it, and then you can just do your hand flat over all the areas. Then all of the pointy bits and things will stay flat and you won't wreck your stencil. After you get that side done, you rinse this off, you flip it over, and you're going to do the other side, and then you're going to rinse both sides because sometimes the medium will go back under and you don't want any crunchy things on the edges of the stencil. The sharp of the stencil is what makes the stencil perfect, at least at StudioR12.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll get rid of that stencil. And then I will show you one that I've already done and I'll show you how to do a thing. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to show you a reverse because I got to have some drying time. So we're going to take some black paint and I'm going to paint instead of mixing my paint in with, I'm going to go right over the top and make this black.
And that is the same technique I used on the green one.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it with a polyfoam brush because I base coated the whole background after I put the
after. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so I did the texture first and then
Smart.
I base coated everything green.
Yeah, I didn't think about doing that, so that's brilliant, and I'll remember that because that's a great idea. But I wanted them to be able to see the contrast of like the black with the white on top, and it does stay white as it dries. Sometimes things go transparent, like glues and things like that, but this does not. And I am moving a tremendous amount of paint. I'm going to dry on Thursday. It's going to be fine. So the paint is catching around every bit of the detail. And so we're going to be fine. Everything's fine. Everything's awesome. But I definitely wanted to show you that you could base coat over the top of what you've done. Now with this, I don't know if you can see, because it's black on black now, you can totally see the textures. So something that is super cool to do is to do something like that, walk away, leave it alone, because that's a cool technique. So you could put these, my friend Lori had bought some really cool accessories from our store and put them in her bathroom, and they were black and had wicker and stuff. Really simple patterns like this with the texture and then just black on black and raised would be so subtle and elegant. I think it would look amazing. Let me have to tell her about that. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry. I've got a little fan going on over here. See if we can get that dry. And then I want to talk about this. This was in our project of the month for, was this, what month was this, Deanna?
October, I believe.
So October's project of the month. This background stencil is all leaves and stuff. I think, did we feature this last week? I think maybe, yeah, last week or the week before in the live.
In the filmed live.
In the fake live.
I don't know if it was a real live.
Yeah. Yeah, for the last 3 weeks we haven't been. But anyway, I show this. This is one of my favorite new stencils that we have. It is magic and it is incredible. It's beautiful. And so what I did with this is I had this all based. I'm sure I did brown and then did the color and then did brown over the top of it. Carrie has now taught me. But then I took metallics and I went over the top, just skimming over the tops of them to make them pop so it's in the background, but it's really subtle. So it is so cool looking. It's one of my favorite projects. I love fall. I love all that stuff. Okay, this is nowhere near dry. So I'm gonna take a hot minute and I'm going to go ahead and get this dry. I just had an epiphany while I was watching this dry. It's not quite all the way dry. If I lay, hopefully the stencil is really symmetrical. If I lay my stencil back on top, get it lined up, get some tape, and if we then go over the top, I better shake that a little bit more. People have said never to shake your varnish, and then I've been to classes where people roll their varnish and do all that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't buy into it. I shake it all the time. So anyway, you shake your varnish up, squirt some out. The reason you shake it or roll it or whatever your technique is because the deglossing agent, in the case of matte varnish, settles to the bottom. So this is a gloss. I think varnish is born gloss, and then you get satin, and then you get matte, and then you have that medium in the bottom. So you want to get that redistributed through your project. And so I'm gonna go with, what applicator? I feel like maybe a jumbo dauber. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm going to just pat over the top with gloss. And then that's gonna make, so if I wasn't gonna do the next thing that I'm gonna do, that would make the glossiness of it super stand out and be like dimensional, and you'd be able to really tell. You wouldn't know why you were seeing things, but you would know you were seeing things. And we should be able to see that pretty clearly. You could put a couple of coats. You could suspend some glitter in this. You could put glitter over your gloss. Jumbo daubers are the bomb diggity. Okay, so they are the best because they make doing big things like this super fast and easy. We use a brush to suspend it in water so it doesn't harden and dry. And then I'm going to peel my stencil off. And now you can see I have a shiny. And now I have the same problem with this that I had with the other. There we go. So in order not to lose my stencil before I get to it to clean it, I'm going to put it over the top. I'm going to spray it. Anytime you're using something that hardens and dries and is meant to do stuff, hopefully that will keep it all great until I'm ready to get it clean in a few minutes. We're almost done. So now I'll get this dry, but look at the sheen of that. And that just adds just some elegance to it, and it is really cool. So that's just another bonus tip that I just thought of. Varnish didn't take any time to dry. Okay, so now we're going to use some rose gold, and we are going to use, this is a Deco Art metallic luster, and we're going to use a large dome. I'm going to brush off the excess, and then I'm going to just barely skim over the top of that. I'm going to do something to my background. So you're like dry brushing, but barely, barely. A chip brush would work tremendously well in this case. Go in the same direction so that you're not changing patterns. Look at how that picks up that detail.
That's cool.
You could dry off on your paper towel, just like whack. Let's get that guy off there. So you could dry off on your paper towel to make it not so much and so dramatic. You could use this technique in journaling. You could use all of these techniques in journaling, in your mixed media, in any of that kind of stuff. You always feel like you can just apply these techniques to any kind of thing. So now in my background, I want to go, hopefully I have one, and I do, because one must always be prepared with a sea sponge. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit of water to make it flexible. I'm going to dry it off to make it not so wet. And then I'm going to pick up this medium, blot it off, and then I'm just going to kind of scumble just a little bit. I want to just make a little, and then I'll use the back of my brush to kind of smear it. And I'll bring it around. It's just a scratchy little smeary kind of thing. If you hated this and you were like, I don't know, you could totally go back over, and I think I'll show you. So I don't want a pattern. I want it to be random. So I'm just moving my brush. This is my brush. In all kinds of weird ways, going back over. It doesn't seem to be removing anything with the back. It smears it a little bit. Oh, it's removing, okay. So I can soften that just in real time. But I could go back into my water, squeeze it out, go into my black paint, and I could totally blot down, go to the other side of my brush, I think I'm getting a blend. I could blend down and soften that sponge technique so that it goes into the background just a little bit more and isn't sitting on top as high. And you won't be able to see too much with like the spongy technique. You're just going to diminish some of the blend. Yeah. It's always good to know how to make something back away.
It's a cool project.
Yeah, super fun. I love mixed media. So, okay. So we have covered the bases. When this dries, we're probably still going to have some of our gloss. This is going to turn into matte. Let me see if I can go ahead and get it dry so we can see technique. Okay, so can you see that you have a little bit of a metallic background look, And then you have that glossy medallion, mandala, not medallion, I guess it's a medallion too. But so super duper, 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 duper cool. I love this to show you. Okay, I have one last technique, and that is applying paste through drywall tape. That is the neatest technique. So I looked for, we don't always keep every one of our stencils, so I looked for one of our word stencils that I would have, but I thought of it at the last minute, and I was like, I just want to show the technique. If you have lettering that's bigger, then you can totally put the stencil on, lay the texture paste, this is sticky on one side, lay that texture paste on and find some fresh texture paste.
Not seen this before. I'm excited to see how
It's
it
really
goes.
cool. Well, so what started it in my world is you can go with your paint. I need another color of paint through. Let's go with a light enough color to see. Hi. So you can use your dome brush. Okay, and you can go scumble, scumble, scumble over your lettering, through your stencil. To grandmother's house we go. And now you have this really cool texture technique that is only on your lettering. You could do it on the tops and the bottoms. You could do it on, in the middles. You can do it on fruit on one side. I've used this technique a million times in my painting career. Now I'm going to take the little palette knife and I'm going to just go through, and it's going to be just that little bit of texture. And I will wipe that off. Always wipe it off right away. Do not set it aside. Do not come back to it. Wipe it off right away. And then texture.
Super cool.
Yeah, it's a really neat technique. When you need it, you need it. When you know, you know.
Oh, I have an idea.
Okay.
So we could use that and put multiple strips, do it in a light brown and make it look like burlap,
Oh, yeah.
but it's painted.
Yes.
I love that too.
We don't have the burlap one up anymore, but
No.
painted burlap. And the texture, you guys, when you go over, so exactly like this and exactly like this, when you go over the top of that, you could mix it with paint so that it was the same color as your background or slightly different. When you go over the top of it, it dry brushes like a dream, and you end up with this texture that, like, some teal over the top of that would be amazing. So this is super cool, and this for a roll is really cheap, so you could just cut that off and you are good to go. And I think that we are done. Did you have anything you want to talk about, sales or any of that kind of stuff? Okay.
Not
So
today.
we are done. I hope that I blew your hippie noodle, and I hope that we see you next Tuesday. And we've got things lined up for you on Saturday.
I do want to say, make sure that you are signed up for our StudioR12.com newsletter. If you have not signed up for it yet, when you go to our website, you will get a wheel that will pop up. You can put in your email address and spin the wheel and most likely get a discount on your first order. But that will be the place where we will, as long as we have internet, give you updates on sales, new products, videos, information about if we're not able to go live. And it's really the best place to be for really all the things. We release tips and tricks and focus on different things. Like if we're painting having a doormat sale, we'll give you all the information that you need to know about how to paint doormats. So it's a really invaluable email.
if you're a
loving our
stencil
stuff.
fan, you need it.
Agreed.
You know, you just need it. And then one last thing, make sure if you liked the content today, we work really hard to bring this to you. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell, all of those things, and we'll see you in the next video.